My name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and visual positioning systems called VPS. So positioning systems, VPS, is a way for tools or computers, especially in spatial computing, to be able to anchor people and devices in a particular experience or an environment. So think about VPS almost like GPS, but it's definitely more detailed. So GPS, people all over the world use it for things like on their phone to get to different places. The thing about GPS is GPS isn't super accurate, not accurate enough for these types of systems. Also, GPS doesn't really work indoors. So what visual positioning systems do is that they create like a GPS type map, but a map of an environment and possibly inside. And also, in order for someone to be able to get their bearings or figure out where they are in a particular system or environment, it anchors people into those systems and also helps them map out their environment. So think of it as like an overlay, or detail overlay in, for example, maybe a augmented reality situation where you're seeing the interacting with things within your environment, but you still have some view or some focus of what's happening around you. So the thing with positioning systems is that in order for them to work, in order for them to augment your reality, it needs to record what your reality is or capture that information. Because this type of information had not been captured before, it brings up questions around privacy. Obviously, like if you're playing a game or you're doing something where you have to interact in a spatial environment, obviously they need to know, it's important to know how your environment, where you are in your environment, how you're interacting with that environment. But the question always is, how is that data being collected? How is it being used? How long is it being retained? A lot of this will end up coming into like personalization or even what I call incremental consent. So as people are moving through experiences like AR, VR, or mixed reality, there may be situations through those experiences where there'll be stopping points where maybe consent or choice will be incremental, where people need to choose certain types of things that are happening in those environments. So I think we're going to hear a lot more about VPS, especially as how it's used. The implications for humans are less concerning, especially when it's being used more in a business sense, where there really isn't as much of an expectation of privacy, but then that has its own issues with businesses. But I think as these types of products go more to the consumer market, I think that those privacy concerns will become even greater. So it remains to be seen how things go with this. Definitely, this is the way of the future, and we're probably going to see a lot more applications, not only that need VPS, but also use that data for some other purpose that we may not even know about at this moment. That's it. Thank you.